And then let's go into this Dantien, what this Dantien is about. For male body, there are a whole bunch of ways of them to kind of notice where Dantien is. It's below belly button and right above Huiyin. Huiyin is where, right in the middle. If you put a pole through it, where it hits, basically where our uterus begins, right? The same spot. So between here, somewhere around here, that's male Dantien, roughly that area. But for women, it's very, very specific. Uterus, simple. So when you're pregnant, it's so much easier. So your awareness, like your full attention, undivided attention is here. And then it will basically let this circulation happen. You're making this circulation happen. So what we do is simply put your awareness there. We have another way of explaining this. These three things, we call this one, also we call it in Chinese character. It's called Jing, Tong. This radical, this part here, means rice. Rice means milky water, that's sperm. So some guys are born with plenty of, a big reservoir, let's put it that way. And then some are just limited. And so naturally, the water drains. How we drains our water is, for women, we lose through our monthly cycle. So we lose our energy, life energy, that way. For male, mostly voluntarily. Some way more and some way less, even if they want to. So that's how their energy gets drained. So male is more voluntary and more their own initiation. So depending on how they conserve, unless they practice this. So depending on, if you're born with a big reservoir, by practicing this, you will make it more powerful and last even longer. And someone who are born with very limited amount, you will strengthen this and it lasts longer and it produces more. So, because why this is so important is this is life energy. It's the battery power. So as soon as this dies, basically you lose that maleness. The XY, it will be gone. By the time you lose this, that's when you're just too old to do anything. Basically, first sign is they lose the desire, or they can't get it up, simply, because they have nothing left. They exhausted all their reserve, basically. So for male, and they all improve in their own ways. Male is more noticeable, because immediately they feel, when they wake up in the morning, the way they feel, or when they actually, making love, or even any, your attitude, everyday life, your attitude changes. Because when you have that gutsy something, and that basically makes you more confident. And for women, we are not affected by this as much as male body, but what it gives us is that gut feeling, that confidence, sureness, and women are a lot more intuitive than men. But then our intuition sometimes correct and sometimes it's not. Although we say it's always correct, but still, the intuition, sometimes is it intuition or is it just my random thoughts? The difference, based on my own experiences, is that when just random thoughts coming in, I feel it here. Like, oh, I thought about something, or it came to my mind. But when that intuition or some kind of sureness comes in, I feel it from here. So when you think of, based on your experiences, you'll probably remember some of the incidences that sometimes, probably you'll remember 1 or 2 or 3 or 4 major instances that you felt that this is so sure that you're going to do it. You can't explain why, but you have to do this. Something like that. It happens here. So this is our physical brain, and this is our spiritual brain, wisdom. So the difference between knowledge and wisdom is knowledge is you gather from like phones or books, listening to other people's talks, or that's how you do it. And so you can logically explain. There are steps to follow. Whereas wisdom, there's no other explanation. But sometimes when we're just calculating too much, or when we're too scared, even if you know it, you may not necessarily follow that path. That's when we're going to regret it. Like, I always tell ladies that when we walk past a shop, oh, I love that dress. We have to get it. Why? I don't know. I can't explain, but we have to get that dress. But then we walk into a shop, we already know that we want that, and then we try all different outfits and ended up buying that dress and leave very happily. I knew it. Something like that. So this is going to give you a whole different level of awakening and give you that sureness in you. And so, yeah, this is going to be somewhat different because we have to practice body and mind together. It's happening and following our practice. We only focus on this main chakra, then everything else just happens naturally. Focus on the main engine room. We're just focusing on the key area. We just focus the heck out of it, and then this one naturally opens gradually. And interestingly, for women, female practitioners, their heart chakra opens before this one, because we use a lot of emotions and we connect. We're more open. So as this practice of so-called breathing through Dantien, this is what we call Dantien breathing, energy gets cultivated, energy gets accumulated here. It's like this. When you put your mind to something, when you're looking at something long enough, like lovers, what do when they're madly in love? Not the people who have been married for 20 or 30 years. They don't have to look at each other's eyes. Just being in the same room, they're already communicating, they already know what the other one is thinking. They got to that level. But then at the very beginning, when the dating period, before they say the L word, if you could remember that time, all they do is just looking each other's eyes. Yeah. That's it. You put as much as your attention to that person, to get that. They're cultivating their relationship. We're cultivating our relationship with Dantien. So we put our awareness there. It's like a new couple. And by doing that, so if you do this for long enough and just holding hands and, probably you don't remember what you talked about. You're just like, right? But through that, you're building this bonding. Somehow you have this unfound a sensation of, I can trust this person. You know what I mean? Something like that.
We focus on them.
Yeah. So you just touch them and just, you talk to them and just look at them. You give your full attention.
Yeah.
That's exactly what's happening here.
Okay.
So it's not like it's going to be disappear somewhere. It's invisible. But by just looking at each other's hands, just, then somehow that builds up, and probably a year later they build up the courage and finally saying the L word, and that's it, boom, and then they get to the next level, right? That's what we're doing. So this is the beginning stage. We're just putting our awareness and give as much attention as we can, and through breathing. So although it doesn't matter how breathing is happening here or there, it doesn't matter. So do that, then this is the relationship building. And once you build it and very comfortable, then you don't have to look at each other's eyes, and just being around the house somewhere. You know what he's up to, you know what she's up to. That's it. So, 30-year-old couple, they don't have to, talk that much during breakfast. They know. Before he even begins, I know. Don't you think about it. That happens, and then through this.